Please, I was speaking, but it seems I was off. Can you hear me now? So basically, can you hear me?
Sir, we can.
So why? Okay. So where did you lose me? Which point
Immediately
did
you
you?
started with the intro, we lost you.
So you
You were
you
trying to
you
brief
had
us on the unit 5. You were trying to throw one more light on the one who will be handling the unit 5, that he needs to be doing something. That is where we lost you.
okay. So the whole point is that I said that you'll be doing a presentation on units 5 and 6. I'll be aware of that. And I'm saying that with the units 4 and 5 and 6, you have to first deal with the unit 4, right? So the unit 4, if you are doing presentation on unit 5 and 6, the 4 will help you understand certain things before you can go to the 5. So let's do our best to first understand the unit 4 briefly before we go to the 5, because the 4 gives some kind of basis to the 5, and as well as the 6. But the 6 is different. So the 5, you have to read the 4 to get it. That's the point that I was trying to read. And I said that I will also try and provide you with some links, video links, so that you can watch and appreciate some basic concepts. Yes, I think that is what I did mention. So with this we are basically trying to look at the theory of consumer behavior, and this is something that you have done, right? I know I've taken you through some of these concepts where we looked at certain consumer behavior and how they operate. So we are going to treat the overall consumer behavior. We look at the different types of budget lines and corner solution. We also look at the application of this, the overview of the theory of production. We also look at this internet. Yes. We also look at the overview of theory of production. We look at the theory of cost as well. Then we look at some applications. So let's start with the unit 1. But before that, is there any question or thing that you want to clarify before we start? Okay. So basically, what we are trying to look at this point is that we do expect that readers should be able to understand what we mean by the cardinalist approach to consumer behavior. And we also look at some of the axioms of the cardinalist approach. We also look at what we call the equimarginal principle, should be something that students should be able to state, and they should also gain more understanding into the ordinalist approach as well. So the first point is that what is cardinalist approach? Anytime you talk about cardinalist approach, is basically an approach to consumer behavior where today's consumer focus or believes that utility is subjective and can be measurable. Right? It means that utility is subjective and can be what? Can be measurable. And also this basically touch on that whenever we are trying to look at utility of an individual, we can talk about issues of the marginal utility. And in that, they say that this particular measurement can be done in what we call utils. So they believe that when you are drinking water, we can measure the level of satisfaction you get from water by using utils, right? And that is what we are trying to put across. And this is very, very important because the satisfaction that a consumer derives from these goods help the consumer to determine whether these goods are very important to them, right? So the key thing under this is that we have to know that the cardinalist approach follows what we call the diminishing marginal returns. It follows the diminishing marginal utility, where it's able to talk about how consumers, as you consume more of a particular good, the additional satisfaction that you want to derive from that good diminish. And let's look at some axioms. These, when you talk about axioms, these are more of assumptions, things that an individual must possess before that individual can be seen as possessing these cards. And one is rationality, right? That one is rationality. And the main thing is that it is a very strong and important axiom where it assumes that every consumer must be rational, right? Strong and very important axiom. But situations where consumers are not rational, and when we talk about they being rational, they have higher desire to increase their satisfaction. So I know George wants a lot of money working here and there. If I tell George that, oh, I have some bag in Cape Coast, George, take a car from Taco or wherever you are and come and pick this bag with money. George is rational. George thinks that, oh, let me spend like 200 cedis to get to Cape Coast and I can get a bag full of money. And every rational person will do that. And you say that for the axioms of consumer behavior, the first one is the axiom of rationality or the rationality of the consumer, where every consumer intends to consume more and more of a particular goods, although this goods is limited because they believe they will get higher satisfaction from this. Then also another axiom is disposable income of the consumer is given. Because if you don't know your disposable income, it is very difficult for you to consume a particular good. One key axiom is that the disposable income or assumption is that the disposable income of the consumer is also given. And also the taste and preference is also given. And I know you remember we talked about certain factors that affect demand. We talked about taste and preference. So taste and preference is also given, which means that the consumer knows a specific product that he wants to consume. And we also assume that there is a perfect competition in this market, right? There's a perfect competition in this market because in this market, prices are given. And whenever we say prices are given, it means that prices are uniform. They are price takers, not price makers. And as a result, they use price that has been given in the market. And this is to prevent situation where we have issues of monopoly or oligopoly, where few firms dominate or companies dominate the market. And we also have the marginal utility is positive. And when you say the marginal utility is positive, it means that any additional good that you consume brings positive outcome rather than negative. So imagine you are drinking a bottle of water and you are very thirsty. The additional bottle that it brings higher satisfaction than not taking any water. So any additional utility that you consume is positive. So that these are some of the axioms under the cardinalist approach. And don't forget the cardinalists, as I said, believe that our consumption is subjective and can be measured in what? Meters. So let's look at the utility maximization. And since we have now agreed that consumers are rational, and based on that, when they are being given the opportunity to consume two goods, they want to maximize their satisfaction. They want to maximize their satisfaction. And in that case, we say that in a single commodity case, he will consume. So this is what I'm saying. In a single commodity case, let's say when you are looking at commodity X, the consumer will consume that commodity up to the point where its marginal utility from X is equal to the marginal utility of the price, right? Which means that every consumer is ready, and we always do this. Every consumer is ready to pay for a product where the satisfaction he gains, the satisfaction he gains is equal to the satisfaction he gains is equal to how much he's spending on the product. So in situations where George wants to spend, if I tell George I'm having iPhone 14 and I'm selling at 10,000 Ghana, George says, oh, your phone is very expensive. Why? Because he believes that how much I'm selling the phone does not match the utility that he'll be getting from it. And that is what we mean by that. So anytime we are dealing with this utility maximization component and we are having a single commodity, we are saying that the consumer will be willing to pay for a good, and that good will be at the point where the utility that he'll be getting from that good matches with the price that he's paying. And it happens in real life where people are not ready to pay for any products that doesn't match with the intended utility that they think they will derive. Why do people buy expensive phones, iPhones? Because they believe that these phones will last and they can use it for a longer time. So the price matches with the utility that they will be deriving in that sense. And that is why people are ready to pay more for iPhones and less for Techno, because they know that Techno might not be durable as iPhones. And as a result, they are not ready to pay this amount for such a phone. But when you look at this, we can see that we have this pi there, this sign, right? And we are saying that this sign deals with the marginal utility of our disposable income, or the response of the consumer utility function to a change in a budget line. So we are saying that this marginal utility only changes with this slope parameter. And this slope parameter tells us the response of this consumer utility function to a change in its budget line. So in situations where his budget or his income increases, then the person or the consumer is very likely to consume more of that product. So that is that, especially when we are dealing with a single commodity. But in situations where we have more than one commodity, that leads us to the concept that we call equimarginal principle. In the equimarginal principle, we say that if a consumer is in equilibrium, consuming commodity X, X1, X2, and Xn, he will allocate his income in such a way that the utility that he derives from commodity 1 will be equal to the price that he's paying for commodity 1. And this will happen from X1, situations where you are dealing with commodity 1, to when you are dealing with Xn, which is commodity M. So you can see that these are the products, and you say that the marginal utility, the MU of X, over, or the MU of X is equal to what? The price of X, which means that the utility that he will derive is equal to the price that he's willing to pay. And here, when you make the slope the subject, it means that you have to divide here by px, right? Divide here by px. So when you divide both sides by px, what are you getting? You are going to get this particular slope parameter will be equal to mu x over px. And we said here that if we get this, if we get something like this, it means that the response of the consumer utility function to a change in its budget line. So anytime there is an improvement in its budget line, it changes how much he allocates to this. In situations where this value is known, then you have to find the same thing for x2. So x2 is going to be mu x2, this is mu x1 over px2. And up to Sn, so you do the same thing for Xn, where it's going to mu xn all over pxn. And you are saying that the equimarginal principle is saying that if a consumer is in equilibrium, it means that he will allocate his income in such a way that all these things will be the same. And that is what we are having here. So we are seeing that these same signs, which is the same here, here, and here, is equal to each other. Because when he allocates his income, he's ready to consume it in that sense. All right. Yes, Kobe, you can come in.
So please, what if there are different prices allocation to an item? What happens to the equimarginal principle?
So one thing that you have to know is that here, so let's take this example. We are saying that you have 1,000 Ghana cedis, and you have to spend 1,000 Ghana cedis on three things. You buy a watch, you buy a shoe, and you buy a TV. Example. And we are saying that you only buy a watch at price of 200 Ghana cedi when you believe that the satisfaction, what the watch can do for you, or the satisfaction that this watch can bring, is equal to the price that you are paying. So when you go to the market, there will be a lot of prices, but you are only going to pay for a specific price when you believe that, oh, this price matches with the product that they are. And it happens. At times you go to a shop, they will tell you a particular price of an item is, let me say, you go to a shop and they will tell you a bag of sachet water is 20 cedis. You leave. Why will you leave? Because you think what you'll be getting from the water and the price that they are selling the water does not match. You don't value that water at that price, right? And that is what they are trying to mean by that. That irrespective of the various prices that is being quoted in the market, the price that you pay matches with what you get from it. So we have one particular group, which is X, which is the watch. Then X2 will be the shoe. And the same thing when you go to the market, you are only willing to pay for a particular price that matches with the utility that you are getting. So the same thing, you have to ensure that MUX2 is equal to PX2. Right? Then from there, you go through this process to various items to the last item, which is XN. And this XN, when you go to the market, which is the TV, there will be various TV prices, but you are only willing to pay for such TV when you know the price that you are paying for the TV matches with what you are going to get. So it's not different from what we have here. All that we have done differently is that here we have, this is only one commodity situation, but here we have 1, 2, 3 commodity. And we have just make this slope parameter, and we are saying that the equimarginal principle is saying that the MUX will be equal to MUX1 over PX1 will be the same as MUX2 over PX2, even through to the point. That's what we are trying to say. Yes, I don't know if it's very clear now.
Yes, sir, it's very clear. So can we relate that to a scale of preference with regards to the money in hands?
Yes, it can be related. But note that here we are talking about utility, right? And with the scale of pressure, we are trying to talk about order of importance. Right here, we are talking about the utility that you derive. And we are saying that the cardinalist approach is saying that this utility can be what? Can be measured. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So in that case, we are saying that suppose the entire budget on 2 commodities. So here we are having commodity X to N, but here we are focusing on only 2 commodities. Then we can say that MU of X1 is equal to MU of X2. And that's the identity that we have already explained here. Right? But we are saying that in this situation, you are equating these two because the prices that they are quoting those two products matches with the utility that you are getting from these two products. So this point is making a case that what if the prices of good X increases? What will happen? When the prices of good X increases, it means that you end up buying less of that particular good X1 because you think the prices are high, and as a result, you will not be ready to buy more, to consume more, so that you can get higher utility from it. So here we mentioned that, for example, to be established, marginal utility of X1 must also increases by the same margin. So if you want to ensure that we come back to this state, this price has increased, right? This price has increased. And if you want to ensure that we come back to this state, they are saying that then this MU must increase. It means that there should be a higher expectation from that product. So let's say you have bought a phone and you are thinking that you are going to use the phone for 10 years. And here's the case, you think that 10 years phone should match, let me say, 2,000 Ghana cedis. And now, after looking at the phone, it came to your notice that the price of the phone has increased. You are only ready to pay for that price when the utility or the expected utility from that phone also goes up. And that's what we are trying to explain here. So we are saying that therefore, if the rise in price of commodity X leads to a fall in quantity of commodity X, then this explains the behavior of what? A normal demand curve. So a normal demand curve, we are saying that every normal demand curve is being deduced from the concept of utility. Because when you see that, and if I am to take you back, this is the normal demand curve. The normal demand curve where you believe that the satisfaction that you derive, so let's take this to be the demand curve. So this is the Q, and this is the Y. And you can see that as the what do you call it? As the price increases, so at this price, we are quoting this amount, right? You are buying this quantity. As the same of that product increase, you can see that you are reducing the quantity you purchase. Why? Because you believe that the price does not merit the satisfaction that you are getting from that product. And that's one very, very important concept of demand and supply. So I always tell people that the impulse of demand and supply is from the utility concept. So anytime we are talking about demand and supply, we are referring to issues of what? Utility. And it's very, very important to understand that. Then based on that, we have another approach. So now we understand the cardinalist approach. So Kobe, you were asking of summary. The cardinalist approach is a way of analyzing how consumer behave. And the cardinalist is saying that consumer behave very subjectively. And they believe that the utility that they are getting from products can be measured. How can it be measured? For us to use that, there should be some assumptions. And these are the assumptions that have stated taste and preference and all those things. Then he also talks about the utility that a consumer is willing to pay for a product when he believes that the satisfaction that he derives is equal to the price that he's paying. And through this, we get what we call the equi. Equi means equal. Equimarginal principle is saying that in a situations where a consumer believes that the price that he's paying for good X matches with the utility that he gets, the price is paying for good X2 matches with the utility, and also the price that he's paying up to good N matches with the utility. We say that, and at this point, there is what? An equimarginal principle where the utility and the prices matches in both cases. And we are saying that it is through this that we determined the normal demand curve, because in situations where there is higher prices, consumers are ready to pay lesser quantity because they feel that how much you want them to pay for the same product does not match with their utility. Which leads us to the next concept, which we call the ordinal. Right? And the ordinal approach to consumer behavior builds on the cardinalist approach. And one key limitation of the cardinalist approach is that it assumes that we can assign figures to different types and different level of utility. The cardinalists believe that we cannot quantify, we cannot measure the utility that you derive. So, for example, the cardinalist is saying that when George drinks a bottle of water, George will gain about 25 utility from it. But the ordinalist is saying that you cannot measure it in value, but you can rather rank them. And that is what the ordinalist try to make. It believes that utility for a consumer can also be ranked and ordered, but not to measure it in liters. It also has some axioms. We have the axiom of completeness. And when we talk about the axiom of completeness, we are saying that if you have bundle X and Y, and a consumer chooses a set of bundles, if in those cases consumer prefers X to Y or prefer Y to X, then it means that he's indifferent in that case. So let me explain this. So for example, we have placed two things in front of Nana, yeah, and Nana, we are asking Nana, you have to pick one preference. And Nana concludes that in one case, he's saying that he likes X more than Y. In another case, he likes Y more than X. And when we have such situations, then it means that the relationship between Nana choosing between X and Y, he's not sure. He's indifferent in between this. And that's one key thing that we have to understand. Then the next one is the reflexivity, which is trying to look at a situation where if X is weakly prefer Y, then automatically we can say that Y is weakly preferred, Y is strongly preferred to S. Then we have another axiom which we call the axiom of transitivity. And the transitivity is that if you have three bundles, we have X, Y, and Z, then we are saying that you prefer you prefer X to Y and Y to Z, which means that you like X more than Y and you like Y more than Z. Then we can conclude that you like X more than Z. So, with example, maybe Kobe likes rice more than fufu, and he likes fufu more than rice balls, or let me say more than banku. Then the axiom of transitivity is saying that then we can conclude that Kobe likes rice more than banku, because we said he likes rice more than what? Fufu. And fufu is also more than banku. So automatically that conclusion can be made. And this is one of the assumptions under the ordinalist approach. Then the last one is where it argues that there is non-satiation. And when you talk about non-satiation, it means that there exists another bundle of Y that a consumer ranks as strictly preferred to X. And the basic concept is that whenever we are talking about non-satiation, it means that the consumer prefers more than less. So we always say that as human beings, our wants are unlimited, which means that no matter what you get, you always ask for more. And that's the unsatiation that we do. So these are one clear thing, these two approaches to utility that we have to understand. So Kobe, if I'm going again, you have to understand that we have two approaches. You have the ordinalist approach and you have the cardinalist approach. The cardinalist approach is saying that we can measure utility and it can be measured in utils. The ordinalist approach is saying that we cannot measure, but it can be ordered. And that is why it's explaining the axiom of completeness, axiom of reflectivity, and the axiom of transitivity, and also insatiation concept. Any question from there?
Yeah, so say the ordinalist, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that its limitation is that it's focused on ranking as compared to the limitation of the cardinalistic, which assume that things needs to be quantified or things
Yes.
can be measured. If I
Yes.
get it well.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So the next one is based on this ordinalist approach, we can then use that to determine preference for a consumer, and that preference is what we call the indifference curve. That preference is what we call the indifference curve. And what is indifference curve? We are saying that the indifference curve is a locus of all points in a commodity space that give the consumer the same level of satisfaction. That is, any 2 points on an indifference curve are equally attractive to the consumer. An example is what we have here. So this is an indifference curve. But how do we get this indifference curve? So we have this particular line, we have commodity X here, and we have commodity Y here. And you are saying that Nana Kwame is ready to pay a particular amount here where he buys, let me say, 5 chocolates and 2 water. And another case where he buys 4 chocolates and 3 water. Another case where he buys 2 chocolates and 4 and 5 water. So we are saying that to Nana Kwame, these points are giving him equal satisfaction. The combination of these points, when he combines these two things, he gets the same satisfaction. It's just like somebody eating, somebody will say, for me, when I'm eating gobe, I like gobe and gari. I'll be satisfied. I'll get myself. I want gari. I want gobe with plantain and with cocoa and with egg. I'll get my satisfaction. Somebody will also say, I want plantain more. I want gari small. So you can see that you are reducing each other, but each of these combinations that you are making gives you equal satisfaction. So whenever a consumer gets equal satisfaction from this combination, and you draw a line to touch this point that gives him equal satisfaction, we say that this is what indifference curve. Indifference curve because the consumer is indifferent between this combination because this combination gives him equal satisfaction. And that is what we mean by this indifference curve. So here we are saying that point A, point B, and point C are all points. So here can be 5, here can be 1, here it has reduced to 3, here is 2, here it has reduced to 2, here is 3. And we are saying that at this point, although he's having different combination, but at each of these points, he gets equal satisfaction. And that is what we mean by the locus. So the points are the locus of points on the commodity space. This is a commodity space. And you are saying that it gives the consumer the same level of what? Satisfaction. And you can make that because it's combining commodity X and commodity Y. Right? It's combining these two commodities to get the satisfaction that it deserves. And we are saying that the indifference curve also, yes, go ahead.
Please, can you please go over the IC again, the indifference scale for me?
So I'm saying that let's pick 2 commodities. You pick 2 commodities. Pick commodity copy.
Let's pick yogurts and calipo. Okay.
Yogurt. So yogurt and calipo. And I'm saying that this yogurt and calipo combines and give you some level of satisfaction. Or let me use, in order for simplicity, let me use yogurt and pie, right? so that you appreciate it very well.
Sure, sure. Okay, thanks, sir.
Yeah. So yogurt and pie, right? And we know that we usually eat these together, right?
Yeah.
So we have yogurt and pie. We have yogurt and pie. And the point that we are making is that we are saying that you can combine you can combine 5 yogurt. Sorry, 5 yogurt, which is here. Here is 5, and 1 pie. So this will be the point, right? So this is 5 yogurt, 1 pie, and we'll get 20. We'll get for example, let's say we get 20 utility from it. The satisfaction that we'll get is 20. So we can decide to use 3 yogurt, 4 pie. And we also get this different combination. We also get 20 utility from here. And you're using 5 pies, 1 yogurt. We're also getting the same utility from here, 20. So what is this telling you? What is this telling you? It's telling you that these combinations are different, but they provide what? Equal what? Satisfaction. Please, you get what I'm saying? This
Yes, sir.
combination, but it provides equal satisfaction to you, the consumer. So when you draw a line, so these points are not the indifference curve. When you draw a line to touch these points, that line is what we call the indifference curve. And the indifference curve means that the consumer is indifferent. He doesn't know which one he wants because all these points gives him what? Equal level of what? Satisfaction.
Satisfaction.
Did you get it? And that's why we have this one here.
Yes, please.
Where is George? George is off. Where is George?
So I think it's network. Let me try and
So you let me pause, call him so that we can continue. We just have 30 minutes, so let's try and get him on board because we don't have much time. So that is what we mean by that. Okay. Then we are saying that the indifference curve possesses some characteristics. We are saying that it behaves, it shows an linear, a downward sloping curve from left to right. We already know that. We said that it is converse to the origin. That means the tail, the middle, when you see something is converse to the origin, it curves like this, The curves, portray inward, not outward. This is concave, this is converse, right? It's converse to the origin, which means that it approaches the origin. Then higher indifference curve provide higher satisfaction. So in situations where we have higher indifference curve, this means that as the indifference curve moves away from the origin, it will get higher satisfaction, meaning that this indifference curve give higher satisfaction than this one, and this also give higher satisfaction than this one. They say the indifference curve doesn't intersect. They don't intersect, which means that we can't have an indifference curve that is like this. It violates the assumption of indifference curve. So indifference curve also always move parallel, right? They don't intersect. It's very, very important to understand that, so they don't intersect. Okay. So let's look at equilibrium situation. And we are saying that the slope, I think they didn't explain that here, but we are saying that the slope of the indifference curve is what we call the marginal rate of what? Of substitution. So just like in the demand curve, we can find the slope of the demand curve, that is the area under this curve. We can also find the slope of this indifference curve by finding the change between this component and also the change between these components. And we say that it is called the marginal rate of what? Of substitution. And that is where we have it here as what? The dy dx. The dy dx means that we are finding the change in pi as the example that we made as against the change in U-boats. So with the equilibrium of the consumer, we are saying that since the equilibrium of the consumer under the ordinalist approach states that the marginal rate of substitution S for Y, which means that if you are giving more of pi for yogurt or more yogurt for X, is what? So MRS S for Y is what? PX over PY. Is PX over what? Over PY. Very, very important. This is PX over PY. So how do we derive the demand function through this? Right? How do we derive the demand function through this? And we are saying that we can derive the demand function by using this Cobb-Douglas demand function here. Right? This is a Cobb-Douglas function where we have x 3 raised to the power 1 over 4, 3 1 over 4, and 1/4. And this is subject to this constraint. So what do you do here? You first find the marginal utility of this. So we have x3 over 4, y 1 over 4. Then, based on this, you find the marginal utility. So you first have to differentiate this with respect to x. Kobe, I hope you know differentiation.
Yes, sir.
Do you know differentiation?
Yes, sir. EMAT.
Yeah, so when you differentiate this, you can see that let's find mu of x. Right? So the mu of x, it means that this will come here. So it's going to be 3 over 4 times x 3 over 4 minus what? Minus 1. Then you have y 1 over 4. So that is what we have here. Then we do the same thing for y. So when you differentiate this with respect to y, it's going to be x. Since you are not differentiating it, it's going to be 3 over 4. Then you have y 1 over 4 minus 1, which will be minus 3 over 4. So that's why we also have it. Then based on that, we know that the mu of s for y is what? Px over py. I hope you remember that. So now we have already found the mu of x, and we have also found the mu of y. So we are saying that if mu of x over mu of y is equal to the slope, which is px over py, then we have what we call some equilibrium in this utility function. So what do you do? Now, in place of mu of x, you put what we had there, which is this. In place of mu of y, we put what we have there, which is this. Then in place of px, we put px and py there. So that's what we have here. So we have mu of x, mu of y here. And in this point, they have reduced it. So let me show you how they reduce it. Please, can you see from the screen or it's not clear?
See from the screen, but it looks very tiny. I don't know if you can zoom it.
Okay. Can you see it now?
I can see it now.
Yes. So what I'm saying is that when you do it this way, you cannot write on it. But let me see. Please, a minute. I'm coming. Okay. So what I was trying to say is that when you look at what we have up here, can you see what we have up here? Can you see?
Yes, sir, I can.
So you can see that what we have up here, what we have up here is similar to what we showed here, what we showed in the previous slides, which is this 3 over 4 x 1 over 2 y 1 over 4, and the same thing mu of y 1 over 4 x 3 over 4 y minus 3 over 4. So this is for x and this is for y. So what we are saying is that when we divide mu of x over mu of y, then we, in place of mu of x, we can bring this figure there because we said that this is mu of x. Please, you get it? And in place of mu of y, we can also place this figure there. So that's what we have here. Right? That's what we have here. And I'm
Okay.
saying that this, they have reduced this. I'm surprised I cannot write on this. They have reduced this. Okay, so you let me put it there and write, then I'll come back so that you see. So you can see that we have 3 over 4. We have 3 over 4, 3 over 4. Then you have x1. We have 3 over 4. We have 3 over 4 and x1 and x minus 1 over 4 times 1 y 1 over 4. So what are we doing here? We can dealt with 3 over 4. You can put 3 over 4 over 1 over 4 is what? 3 over 4 is 1 over 1 over 4 is what? You
So you
are
get
going,
3.
yes, you are going to get 3. And that is why we have this 3 here. Can you see? So let's come to the y. We have y. I'm going to write on this side. Okay. Okay. So we have, please, I'm coming. Hold on.
Yeah, yeah. So please, you go back to the normal way so that you can write. I'll follow. I'm having a book here. I keeping notes. So
Sorry, Kobe, can you hear me?
yes, I cannot hear you.
Sorry, I was talking and it seems I think I was muted. So what I was saying was that let's pick only the x. We have already agreed why we had the this three, right? From here, right? So let's pick only the x, and we know that from here we are seeing that the x is what we are having x minus 1/4. That's the one we have up here. This right all over x 3/4. You get it? And you are saying that anytime you have x raised to the power a over x raised to the power b is the same as having x a minus what b.
B.
But when you have x raised to the power a times x raised to the power b, we say that it is what x
X
a
plus A plus B.
plus b. So using the same principle, if you have x raised to the power minus 1/4 over x raised to the power 3/4, what would it be? Kobe, calculate it for me.
Okay. Please, you are getting -1. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello. Hello. Hello, sir. Hello. Hello. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello.
Yeah, Kobe, have you been able to get the figure? I
Negative
think I
1.
went to ask briefly. Do you have it now? What did you get?
You're getting negative 1.
What did you get,
Hello,
please?
sir.
Yeah, what did you
Negative
get?
1. Negative 1.
So we are going to have x negative what? 1. Like this, right?
Yes.
So let's
Yes,
pick the
please.
y. Let's pick the y. So the y2 is y 1 over 4 over
Negative.
y
Negative 3 over
negative
4.
over 4. So the same thing, what will we get from there as well?
You get positive 1.
So we are going to get y. So now let's bring them together, right? So let's bring them
Yes, sir.
together. So we have 3, we have agreed on the 3, x negative 1 over, sorry, x negative 1 is not over. Let me come again. We have 3x negative 1 y, right? And you can see that what we have here
Yes,
is the
please.
same as what we have here. But the only
Yes,
difference
sir.
is that when we write,
You
these are
find the
all
inverse of x.
yes. If you have x negative 1, it's the same as having what? 1 over what?
1 over
1
x.
over. So then we can say that we are going to have 3y over what? Over x. Please, is it clear?
Yes,
Please, is it
sir.
clear? Okay. So now we have this. We have agreed that we have this. And as I mentioned, we are equating it to px over py. I've already said that here, here we equate ps to be equal to py, right? So what we have done in
Right.
all this process, we have px over py. So let's equate it to py, and that's what we have done here. So now we have 3y equals 3y
X.
over x equals px over what? Py.
Py.
So what we do here is that we want to find x and y. So we first have to make one the subject. So let's make y the subject. So if you want to make y the subject, it means that we first have to multiply each side by x, right?
Yes, sir.
So when you multiply here by x, you can see that this x will cancel this x. So we are going to have 3y equals x p x
X.
over what?
Py.
Then we divide through by 3, divide here by 3, which you are going to have y equals what? X
X ps
px over what?
times over
Over 3
3 py.
py. And that's what we have here. This I hope is clear.
Yes, sir.
But if you remember, we did mention that we have the utility function, and we also have the budget equation or the budget line, right? And we have it here. This is the budget line, which is px. And all that we are trying to say is that when you are selling a product, is the price that you sell the product times the quantity that you purchase times the price that you bought the product times the quantity that you purchase. This is y equals to your income. So if you have 1,000 Ghana and you are spending it, is the price that you bought the product times the quantity that you purchase,
Important.
price that you bought the product times the quantity that you get, the total amount you invested. So this I here is what? Is your income. So now that we have y to be equal to this, then we can substitute this y into the budget equation. And the budget equation is what we have here, which is px times x and py times y. So this is the budget equation, and you have substituted y there. I hope you get it. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Yes. So now that we have substituted y there, we have to reduce it. So we go through a lot of process here, reduce it, and we make x the subject. So when you make x the subject, this is what we'll be getting 3i over 4px. Right? And this talks about this x represent the quantity demanded for good x. Based on the utility, this is the quantity that the consumer will demand. And we say that the above equation represent the demand function, which states the quantity demanded of a good depending on its own what price and what income. So from there, you can put this X into the Y, because we have X here. You can put this X into this Y, then you get the value of Y. So when you work it out, this is the Y that you get. And this is also the demand function for good Y when you look at its relationship with the price of good Y and their income. So this aspect is very, very important for you to understand, especially calculations. Anytime you are bringing calculations, this is one key calculation that usually comes that you have to understand that when I give you this question here. Yes.
Yeah, please, can you please calm down? Where you made the substitution about the budget line,
Yeah.
the substitute the value. So please, where from the px bracket x plus 1 over 3x.
Okay. So we have this, right?
Okay.
We have this. And what
Yes,
we
sir.
are doing is that we want to make X the subject, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
here, all that you have done here is that you can substitute px here, then you cross multiply. When you cross multiply, this 3py will go off. Then after that, you factorize x out, and you can see that wherever we have x, we have px, right?
Yes,
So you
sir. Yes, sir.
factorize x out, then after that, you can make x the subject. And that is why you went through this. Is either you focus on this simple process or you use this one where you still get what the same answer. Is it clear?
Yes, please. It's clear now.
So you, after getting this, as I said, this is a very, very important calculation that you have to do. Very, very important. So one, what do you have to know in this particular unit? What is the difference between cardinalist and ordinalist approach? You have to know. What else? At least you should be able to know three axioms of the cardinalist and the ordinalist approach. You should be able to know what is indifference curve. You should be able to know what is the equimarginal principles, and you should be able to solve a question. You should be able to solve a question. You should be able to solve a question where px, this px, x1, x2 is equal to these figures. So now, for example, we have utility is equal to the square root of what? X1,
X1, X2.
x1, x2, x1, x2. And you know what this means? We know that square root is the same as having x 1 over 2, x2, 1 over 2. Are you aware?
Yes, sir. I'm aware.
So now you have this, and you can you solve this question finding x, px, and py, because we have px and py here, the price of px and py. Right. So can you go through this process? Can you go through this process and solve? Can you go through this process and solve? Yeah, can you go through this process and solve? Yeah. So what I want you to do is that try and solve the 8, and you share your screen and present it to me in our next meeting.
Okay, sir.
Yes. So you can see that this component is very, very important. Although we have not been able to do much, but it's very, very important for us to do there. So I don't know if we should continue or we should end here so that you can go and do that question and read, or we should continue. But how
Yes,
is
sir.
George?
So I tried calling, but it couldn't go through.
Oh,
So I have another class.
okay. Oh, okay.
So
Then wait.
please, after my next class, I'll work on it. Then I'll share it with you on WhatsApp for you to
Okay.
go through.
Okay. Okay. Then so when is your next class?
So 11:30.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay. So let me leave you then. So, but let's find time and cover the ones that we are not able to finish.
Okay, so I'll consult George if we can meet hopefully Friday.
Okay. Okay.
and then
All
we'll
right.
communicate to you also.
Okay. Okay. All right. Take care then.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, Josephine, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir.